Welcome to today's webinar over the 2018 Modeling Enhancements. My name is Carrie Krause and I will be covering the new STEP file format, member add options bar, status display by member ends, and status select. Feel free to type in your questions during the webinar and I will answer them at the end. SDS2 2018 has the option to import and export STEP file. STEP is a 3D modeling format that, when exported from SDS2, includes a material shapes, submaterial marks, and member material grouping. STEP does not include section sizes or other metadata. The geometric shapes are currently exported as faceted B-reps. To export this option, it can be found under the model link, export file format, and STEP. Under the properties, you will find that the default application protocol is 214. This AP exports submaterial colors, but the AP 203 does not. So you have the option for AP 214 and AP 203. Just like other exports, there are options such as export welds, export holes, export bolts, export bender compatible shapes. When bender compatible shapes is checked, the system will try to export extruded profiles for pipes and tubes. You will want to check this option on if you are exporting to Bendtech, Sigmatech, or Advanced Fabricating. The other options are translation and rotate. The STEP format is commonly used for 3D models with SolidWorks and other 3D rendering programs. It's a very common graphics format and can be imported into most 3D applications such as Navisworks and other pipe cutting machines. When importing into SDS2, STEP is mostly used as a reference model or as a library part. You can't get any useful member or material information from the STEP format. This file format can be imported using the design link. The file can also be imported as a reference model. That can be found inside of your modeling under the model pull down, reference models, and link to new file. Next is the member add options bar. You will see here that I have a blank area across the top of my top toolbar. That is where the information will be shown when you start the member add command. So if I went to member add beam, you will see that the member add options bar is now populated to reflect the information for the beam. To control the member add options bar, this can be done inside of your options pull down, user options, modeling tab, and show member add options bar. Your options here are disabled, top, or bottom. You must close out of modeling to apply. So if I wanted to move this to the bottom, I would set this to bottom and I would have to actually close out of my modeling session in order for it to apply. So we'll start here with the beam add. When the member add options bar is enabled, when adding a beam, the common attributes can be found here. are the section size, the toe direction, long leg 2, double material, left end connection. So if I pull this down, I can set it to auto standard, user defined, plain end, bent plate, clip angle, bearing, end plate, shear, seated, fully welded moment, or splice. You'll also find the left and right end elevation. And the additional controls found over here are the continuous add mode and launch member edit. When the continuous add mode is enabled, this will allow for members to be added to the model with the second point of the first member being the first point of the next member. When launch member edit is enabled, the member edit window will appear after the points are selected, as it has in previous versions. If this option is disabled, the common attributes from the member add options bar will be used, and the member edit window will not come up upon each new member add. This can make for quick input of members within the model. So if we were to add some beams here, I'm going to change the section size. We'll add in W18 by 40. Within the section size box here, you can either type it in, or you do have the yellow file cabinet there to browse for a different section size. I'm also going to turn on the continuous add mode so I can go around a perimeter here. So my first point will be 1A. So I'll go 1A to 2A. Since I have the member edit disabled, that will not come up after I select point number 2. It's now ready for the second point of the next member because it's using the second point of the last member as the first point for the next member. So I can add these all along here and turn the corner and turn the corner again here to come back. Now when I get to 3B, the section size changes, so I am still in the member add. I can come up to the section size and I'm going to type in a W14 by 34. And then I can select my second point and continue along here. And if I go to turn the corner again to go from 1B to 1A, I can change back to a W18 by 40 and finish the perimeter. And then right click to return. And all of those members have been added as separate beams. Now we're going to move up to the roof here. All right, and we can do the member add beam. It's W18 by 40. I'm going to have my continuous add here. I'm going to add in some beams up at the roof from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. Now I want to move on to adding in beams in between these two sloping beams here. I do not have to exit out of the member add command. I do have the continuous mode turned on, but if I wanted to change my point, I could turn the continuous add mode off, and it's ready for me to select my next left end of the beam. So what I can do here is I'm going to add in a W14 by 34. And since my elevations are unlocked, they are following my point locators. So right here, I do want to use intersection of construction line member for my left end and intersection construction line member for my right end. Now with these members, I do want to make a change that is not located on my member add options bar. So to do that, I'm going to launch my member edit, select my second point, and it's going to bring up my member edit window like I'm used to seeing here. So I'm going to change my web rotation of this beam to web normal because I want everything after this to follow that change. So if I say OK, and I could use my left and right and select my points, but we still have the option to repeat. So our button bindings are still going to be the same. Left click is locate, middle click repeat, and right click return. So I can go along this bay here and middle click to repeat along that beam. Now the advantages of the member add options bar over the repeat is when I move over to my next bay. It is a different span, so now I'm still in my member add and I can select my 2 points. It's going to follow everything that is on the member add options bar and say OK. And I can repeat down that line there. So the member add options bar can be used when there are different angles, different lengths, or when you need to change direction. I'm going to go ahead and right click out of that, and we're going to move on to the column add. So for the first columns to add in here, we're going to do those in plan view. So member add column. The common attributes here are going to be the section size, the toe direction, the long leg to double material, the bottom and top connection, and elevations, as well as the rotation. And then similar to beams, you do have the option to launch the member edit window. If both elevations at this point are unlocked, you will get this message that it needs to be greater than a 16th. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add in W10 by 49. Going to lock in the bottom at 99.2 and lock in the top at 126.0. The first few I'm going to add in at a 0 column rotation. So left click to locate, left click to locate. We could repeat as well. I could change this to 90, left click to locate, and left click to locate. So that is adding our columns in plan view. If I move to a section view, so if we move to grid 4 here, I can add in columns in our section view, and I now have a new option here. So when we were in plan view, you did not have the option for the continuous add mode with the columns. When you are in a section view, you do have the option for the continuous add mode, so you can add in spliced columns. So here we are going to add in a W8 by 48. You could set your base plate if you had one set up in your schedule. You can also do your splice plate here just from the member add options bar, and then you could lock in your elevations. Here I'm going to turn on my continuous add because I'm going to add in a couple spliced columns. So we'll add one here from 99.2 to 110. So just like before, that last point is going to be the first point for the second member. And I do need to move over to B, so I'm going to turn off the continuous add mode and locate that down at B and 99.2. Turn my continuous mode back on to select my second point. And then if I don't have a point to select above here, I can type in my elevation, find the location, and left click to locate. Right click to return, and it has added in my spliced columns. Along with beams and columns, member add option bar can also be used with vertical and horizontal braces. So we'll take a look at the vertical brace add here. We'll open up grid C, and we'll add in a few vertical braces. So member add vertical brace. Once again, you have your section size. So if we're adding in HSS 4x4 by quarter, as soon as you tab out, just like your member edit window, the member add options bar will update to reflect the options that go along with that section size. So you do have your long leg side, long leg outstanding, your double material, your angle leg, your left end connection, left end elevation, right end connection, right end elevation, continuous add, and your launch member edit. So right now I do have the continuous add mode turned on. So we're going to locate bottom to top here and then finish off this bay to the bottom. Now if we wanted to move on to the next bay, but let's say the section size is different, we go 4x4 by quarter, tab out of that field, and if we look here, we have side of gusset, double material. If we turn on the double material, we see that we now have a configuration for that double material, and the other options still apply here. We'll go ahead and finish off this bay and right click to return. Okay. Now if we move on to grid 1, this will come in handy if you are creating a truss. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to add in our vertical brace with the continuous add mode turned on, and we'll be able to add in this brace to our truss here. And here we're going to go L3 by 3 by quarter. It will be double material configuration back to back. And with our continuous add, we can just select our points all along the way here. And then if we turn our continuous add off, we can add in the vertical sections and repeat along that beam. Okay, and then right click to return, and all of those vertical braces have been added. And notice that there were no member edit windows that came up. You were just able to have that turned off, and it remembers everything from the previous member. Next is the status display and the status select. So if we go to our model pull down, status display, we're going to start with showing our failed members. So our status display per member end allows for more control over what will be affected when applying a status display. These options over here include your member, ends, left end, or right end. So we're going to start with a custom color. We'll go red when any of these conditions are true. We'll go ahead and just select the ends when there's a failed connection. So instead of the entire member turning red, only the ends that are failing will be turned red. So if we hit apply and OK, you're going to see that only the failed members or failed ends are red instead of the entire member. Okay, another thing we can do here with the ends is, let's say we wanted to show our clip angle and shear tab ends. So I'm going to set this to cyan when any of these conditions are true. Ends, we'll do a connection type of clip angle. And then we'll show the other ones here as orange when any of these conditions are true, the ends, and we will do connection type of shear. So then if we apply and OK, you will see that the members in cyan are clip angle and the orange are shear tabs. Another application of this would be if you wanted to see which ends have an auto beam shear. So let's show it as olive when any of these conditions are true. We'll go ends, and we're going to go connection auto loads, auto beam shear. If we hit apply and OK, it's going to turn those ends olive if they have the load set to auto. So this member here, neither one of the ends are highlighted. So if I edit, I'm going to see that the loads are unchecked off of auto and have a user input load. Another status display here. If we set this to, we're going to go yellow. When any of these conditions are true, we'll say if the left end meets this condition, going to say approval in modeling, and we want it to be yellow if the member left end is locked. Next priority here will be blue. Say blue when any of these conditions are true. Let's say the right end, we want to know if there is a material setback. So member status. And the right end material setback. And you can say equals, less than or equal to, less than, greater than. Okay, we're going to say if it is less than or equal to 1/2, we want it to be blue. So anything 1/2 or less as far as the right end material setback will be blue. And the next one we will set as magenta. When any of these conditions are true, we'll go ahead and set the entire member. So instead of just the ends, we'll go the member when the sequence is from 1 to 1. Okay, down at the bottom, you still have the options to save and load. We're going to go ahead and click on this legend here so we're reminded of what color is for which condition. So here we will see that the yellow shows us that the left end is locked. The blue here is going to show that the setback is less than or equal to 1/2, and magenta is showing that it is the member is in sequence 1. So that is the status display per member ends. Now we'll take a look at the select by status display. This can be used in 2 different ways. One way is by using the selection filter. So in our selection filter here, you have the option to use by status display. So let's say that we need to select holes when the hole diameter is from 1 1/16 to 1 1/16. Let's say we need to resize this for galvanizing purposes, and we say OK. This will work just like any other selection filter will. If I select around an area, it will only select what meets those conditions. So when I box around this area here, it only highlights what is 1 1/16. Now this will only apply when trying to select and will only work on what is in view and what is in solid form. The same goes for using the second method of the status select, which we'll take a look at here. If I turn everything to stick. The second method is found under the model pull down, status select, and holes when it's from 1/16 to 1/16. And remember, down at the bottom, if you have a status that you are using frequently, you will want to save it so you can load it at a later time. Once I hit OK from here, it will automatically select what meets the criteria. So instead of using the selection filter up here where you actually have to select it, this will auto select just like you would see with the advanced selection. Down at the very bottom of my toolbar, I see that my item selected is 0 because everything is in stick and the holes cannot be selected. If I change everything to solid here, go up to the model pull down, we'll run that status select again. So holes from 1 1/16 to 1 1/16. Going to say OK. Now checking in with our item selected down at the bottom, it now says 24. If I uncheck my depth check and take a look at our condition up here, we see that the only holes that are selected are inside of the actual column, because the column is the only thing that was in the view when I ran the status select. So the holes in the beam and the holes in the clip angle are not selected because they were not in the view when I ran that status select. Okay. That concludes today's webinar over the 2018 Modeling Enhancements.